Hi Scouts, I'm Mr. Rainville. I earned my Eagle Scout way back in the olden days before the internet, but I've enjoyed staying outdoors ever since then, so I'm here today to help you complete requirement 3 of Call of the Wild adventure. So first, we need to recite the outdoor code together. If you haven't learned what that is yet, it's on page 11 of your Wolf Handbook. This code's not a secret like spies would use. It's got nothing to do with computer programming. The word code actually has several different meanings, and in the case of the outdoor code, it means a set of rules that you want to follow. Got it? So rules that you want to follow because it's the right thing to do. So first, I'm going to say the outdoor code for you, all right? Are you ready to listen? Cool. The outdoor code. As an American, I will do my best to be clean in my outdoor manners, to be careful with fire, to be considerate in the outdoors, and be conservation-minded. You probably noticed there were 4 things I promised to do in the outdoor code. First, be clean in my outdoor manners. That means you don't make a mess of things when you're outdoors, so never ever litter, right? Good Scouts even pick up trash that others leave behind. Next, be careful with fire. Never try to start a campfire without help from an adult, and only have them in places they're allowed, like at a campground or at one of the scout camps. The third thing is to be considerate in the outdoors, meaning thinking about how your actions affect others. You go outside to enjoy nature, so you don't want to do things that would prevent other people from enjoying nature too. Can you think of any examples? I'll give you a second. Got some? Maybe yelling and screaming, or playing loud music, things that are going to disturb other people. Finally, be conservation-minded. So do your best to preserve nature. For example, letting flowers grow where you find them, and being careful not to trample plants, and certainly leaving wildlife alone. To complete this part of the requirement, you need to recite the outdoor code. So first, repeat after me. Are you ready? As an American, I will do my best to be clean in my outdoor manners, be careful with fire, be considerate in the outdoors, and be conservation-minded. Great! Now let's say it all together on 3. 1, 2, 3. As an American, I will do my best to be clean in my outdoor manners, to be careful with fire, be considerate in the outdoors, and be conservation-minded. Great job! Now we need to learn about the Leave No Trace principles for kids and recite them together. Do you know what a principle is? No, I'm not talking about the principal at your school. All right, a principle is an idea that people share about the right thing to do, like the values in the Scout Law. So as a Cub Scout, you'll learn the Leave No Trace principles for kids to help you take care of any outdoor place you visit, especially when hiking or camping. You'll find the principles starting on page 11 of your handbook. There's 7 of them altogether. So first, know before you go. Find out about where you're going. Are there any rules? I visited my town's website to learn about the woods I'm going to explore today, so I know I'm allowed to go hiking on the trails here. The next thing you need to know is if there's anything you need to bring to be prepared. Is there water? I have a few things in my backpack to be prepared for the hike today. You want to guess what they are? All right, I'll give you a second as I take my pack off. Start making your list. Let's see, what do we have in here? Okay. I've got a raincoat. Did you guess that? What about a water bottle? Gonna need that. There's nowhere to get water out here. And if you're gonna have water, it's probably not a bad idea to have some snacks. I got some snacks with me. Granola bars, some beef jerky, tasty stuff. What else do you think is in this bag? Any ideas? A flashlight? I do have a flashlight with me. It's actually a headlamp, but pretty close, and you know, even though it's the middle of the day here and the sun is out, if something goes wrong and I get stuck here for a long time, it might be good to be able to see. Let's see, what else I got in here? Ooh, I've got some insect repellent because the ticks are starting to come out a little bit, and I don't know if you could see them on the camera, but there's black flies flying around, so want to be protected there. What else? Oh, if I find them out in the fields in some sunny spots, you can see there's quite a bit of sun out here. Got some sunblock to wear. And, oh, I got one I bet you all guessed. First aid kit with band-aids and gloves and bandages and stuff, just in case I get any scratches or cuts or anything while I'm out here. Let's see, what else do you think we have in here? Oh, I've got a map. So that way I can kind of keep track of where I'm hiking and know how to get back to where I started from. And when you have a map, it's always a good idea to have a compass so you know which way is north. You can figure out what the top of the map is. All right, so that's pretty much all of what I've got in my backpack. Let's move on. Okay, the next principle is choose the right path. So what that means is you should always stay on the trail, even when they're wet and muddy. If you start cutting around the edge of the muddy section, the trail starts to get wider and wider and erodes the edge, and eventually it kind of makes a mess. So if you can, wear your boots and trudge right through that mud right in the middle of the trail. If you're going to camp, choose the right path means making sure that you use an approved campsite, someplace that you're allowed to put up a tent that's not going to be damaged by you camping there. Okay, number 3 is trash your trash. Now, I think you guys can all guess what that means. Obviously, carry out your litter if there's no trash cans around. And pick up litter, too. I like to bring a Ziploc bag with me that I can put little pieces of trash that I catch along the way and carry them out with me and throw them out in a trash can or a dumpster when I get back. If you're going to go someplace that has restrooms, you should always use the bathrooms. People sometimes don't think of this as trash, but poop is trash, and that includes your dog's poop. So if you go hiking with your dog, make sure that you bring some stuff to help clean up after it. A roll of these little plastic bags so you can pick up the poop and carry it out with you to a trash can. Now, if that sounds gross, it is a little gross. I got one secret tip for you. You can use an empty coffee bag, the kind of bags that coffee come in. They're really good at holding in the stink and nothing leaks through them, so you can take your little bag with dog poop, drop it inside the coffee bag, roll up the top and seal it up, and that way you can stick it in your backpack, keep everything in there clean, and then throw it out when you get home. The next principle is leave what you find. So you want others to enjoy all the things that you see when you're out in nature. So don't collect rocks and flowers or really anything except trash. You can take that with you. But if you need souvenirs, make sure you take pictures. A good saying to remember, to help you remember this principle, is leave nothing but footprints, take nothing but pictures, and kill nothing but time. Number 5 is be careful with fire. Now, we talked about this when we learned the outdoor code. You should only use approved campfire rings and always get help from an adult. And to be kind from nature, to be kind to nature, you should also use a stove or a grill to cook whenever possible. They're a lot less messy and they don't leave much mess behind. Unlike campfires, you have sometimes half-burnt logs and a little bit of mess to leave behind. So if you can, cook on a stove. So that brings us to number 6, which is respect wildlife. It's very important to keep the noise down so you don't scare away wild animals. And if you see some, keep your distance. It can be dangerous to get too close to animals. If not for you, then sometimes for them, especially in the spring when they're just coming out of hibernation and they barely have any energy. If you scare them and make them run, it's really hard for them to get all the food that they need to be safe. So make sure that you're as considerate as you can be when you're out in nature. And then the very last principle is be kind to other visitors. So people go out into nature to get away from noise and stress, right? So keep it down and be courteous. Give people their space. Don't crowd up on people or cut through their campsite or anything like that. And when you do encounter people on the trail, just be polite as you can. Remember, you're a scout. Now, you know the leave no trace principles. So it's time to recite them together. First, I'll say each one at a time and you can repeat after me. Are you ready? Number 1, know before you go. Number 2, choose the right path. Number 3, trash your trash. Number 4, leave what you find. Number 5, be careful with fire. Number 6, respect wildlife. And number 7, be kind to other visitors. You ready to say them all together with me? All right, so let's get ready to recite the Leave No Trace principles together. On 3, 1, 2, 3. Know before you go. Choose the right path. Trash your trash. Leave what you find. Be careful with fire. Respect wildlife. And be kind to other visitors. The next part of the requirement is to think about how these Leave No Trace principles support the outdoor code. So I've laid out the 4 points of the outdoor code. Be clean in my outdoor manners. Be careful with fire. Be considerate in the outdoors. And be conservation minded. And let's think about how the Leave No Trace principles might fit into each of those 4 points. Now this can be a little tricky because some of them fit under more than one category. But let's take a shot and see how it goes. All right, ready to try? Number 1, know before you go. Where do you think that could go? How about underneath be considerate in the outdoors? If you know before you go, you're making sure that you're going places you're allowed to hike and be outside and that you're following all the rules. You might also put know before you go under conservation minded, because if you're going to a place where there's approved hiking trails, you're reducing your impact by not trampling through the wilderness. Next we have choose the right path. Let's see, which point should we put choose the right path underneath? Clean in my outdoor manners, careful with fire, considerate in the outdoors, or conservation minded. Any guesses? My first pick would be to put it under conservation minded, because when you're staying on the trail, you're helping to preserve the nature all around you. Next up, we have trash your trash. I bet you can get this one. Trash your trash. Should we put it with clean in my outdoor manners, careful with fire, considerate in the outdoors, or conservation minded? You've got it. Clean in my outdoor manners. Next up, leave what you find. Leave what you find. Clean in my outdoor manners, careful with fire, considerate in the outdoors, or conservation minded. Well, you could put it under considerate in the outdoors, because if you leave the treasures you find, somebody else will be able to see them later on, so you're being considerate to other visitors. You might also put it under conservation minded, because if you're leaving things where you find them in nature, you're not picking wildlife or taking things out of their natural environment. That brings us to number 5, be careful with fire. So I bet that one seems obvious, right? Be careful with fire. Be careful with fire. But you might also put be careful with fire under clean in my outdoor manners, so that you're not leaving a mess from your fire behind. And you could even put it under being conservation minded, because you're being mindful of what you're using up, not burning too much wood, and not risking forest fires. All right, number 6, respect wildlife. Let's see, respect wildlife. Would that be clean in my outdoor manners, careful with fire, considerate in the outdoors, or conservation minded? Maybe you could put that into considerate in the outdoors. You're certainly being considerate of the wildlife when you respect them. And you could put it under conservation minded too, because if you're being respectful of the wildlife, you don't risk putting them in danger. And that brings us to the 7th principle, which is be kind to other visitors. So be kind to other visitors. Where should we put that? Under clean in my outdoor manners, careful with fire, considerate in the outdoors, or conservation minded? I agree. Let's put that and be considerate in the outdoors. You're being kind to other visitors when you're taking into account how they want to experience nature the same way you might. All right, Scouts, you are almost done. The very last piece of the requirement is to list the ways that you were careful with fire or other hazardous things the last time you went on an outing. So go ahead and pause the video and see what you can come up with for a list. Write them down and we'll go through them in a second. So pause the video now and restart it when you're done writing. All right, let me guess if I could see some of the things that you might have written down about being careful with fire the last time you were outdoors. Maybe you used a fire ring? Yeah? I bet you even cleaned the area around the fire, right? And you probably made sure that you had water on hand to put the fire out with. And did you leave the fire unattended? No, I bet not. You stayed there and made sure that it was out when the campfire was over. All right, well, great job, Scouts. You've completed requirement number 3 of Call of the Wild. Next time you go outdoors, you'll be a little bit more prepared. Have fun.